Thanks to King RFM for the suggestion. I'm not very well versed in Wolverine, but I'll give it a good go. Wolverine! Logan is obviously one of Marvel's most popular characters. This unkillable, adamantium-clawed mutant is the breakout character of the X-Men, the team who at one point were the only thing keeping Marvel afloat. But he doesn't just spend all his time hanging out with school kids. Over the years, he's had a hell of a lot of solo adventures, and that means he's faced a hell of a lot of villains. We all know all about the big ones, like Logan's rivalry with Sabretooth, or his showdowns with Omega Red, or even his struggles with the Weapon X program. But today, we're going to look at a few lesser known villains that have tried to kill the best there is at what he does. This is underrated Wolverine villains. Starting us off, we've got a man with a past just as crimson as Logan's own. The man called Roddy mcLeigh, also known as the White Ghost. Not to be confused with the Ghost or the Red Ghost. This one is the world's greatest assassin and an old acquaintance of Logan's from his darker days. In the streets of Hong Kong, the two found the kind of kinship in each other thanks to both having bloody histories. mcLeigh wasn't shy about discussing work with the mutant, and Logan seemed to love it. For months, he'd been drinking with mcLeigh, learning all about the life of the deadliest assassin, and Logan enjoyed it. From the sidelines. Oh, I see, it's okay when strangers get killed, but when it's someone Logan knows personally, suddenly there's a problem. The Scotsman's latest kill was Logan's lady's old man, and the feral mutant is pissed. Logan catches up to Roddy and makes him suffer by breaking his back to bits with his motorbike. But his pain doesn't last long as a stray bullet from Roddy's patron sets the spilling petrol alight, sending Roddy and the triad gangster who hired him to the sea floor. Wolverine got his revenge. 10 years and many adventures with the X-Men later, Wolverine has set himself up in Manhattan to try and reconnect with the modern world, but he can't escape the past so easily. He barely escapes a trap that blows up his old apartment, but the message is clear. The White Ghost lives. mcLeigh hadn't been the only one sharing secrets. He knows all about Logan's powers, and he's had years to figure out a counter to the healing factor. But if anything, the White Ghost will be overprepared because currently, Logan doesn't have his adamantium claws. He's back down to bone. Roddy mcLeigh must be pretty hardcore because he's got Logan, Wolverine, in a panic. Logan knows from their many drinking sessions that mcLeigh doesn't just target the individual, he goes for the friends and families. Logan can't run to the X-Men. He needs to sort this out solo. Turns out Logan can't run anyway, because now his legs are pinned between two crashing cars. All according to mcLeigh's plan. But Wolverine is the best at what he does, and what he does isn't very nice. Logan is an absolute animal, and he hunts like one. If he wants to turn the tables on Roddy, he needs to get to somewhere where he'll have the advantage, and a city full of light, sound and sense isn't it. But in the nearby wilderness is exactly where the methodical mcLeigh awaits. And he doesn't wait alone, as a trap has been set for the Wolverine. An ambush. One that Logan drives right into. Holy crap, look at this. Wolverine kicks ass, mate. But even he can feel fear. mcLeigh's goons were well armed, and they knew exactly where he'd be and when. This invisible enemy seems to know Logan's next move before Logan himself does, and he's got the ammo to take Wolverine down. But he wants him to suffer first. Roddy has murdered the woman Logan once loved, the daughter of his final victim a decade ago. More mind games. Logan knows it's mind games, but he doesn't care. mcLeigh has unleashed the beast. mcLeigh has been out of the assassin game for some time, so to prepare for Logan, he's had some practice on the villagers. Probably better that they're out the way while Roddy and his goons turn the whole town into one giant trap for Wolverine. He's gonna make Logan suffer the same way he did. But here is the fun twist. mcLeigh's true plan is to return for revenge and hire the world's deadliest assassins not to kill Logan, but to be killed by Logan. All those years ago in Hong Kong, he'd been in awe of Logan's brutality, and he wants Wolverine to take his place as the world's deadliest man through trial by combat. But Logan is no longer the man Roddy mcLeigh knew. He's Wolverine, a hero. Reaching the safe house at last, Logan comes face to face with Roddy mcLeigh, who reveals the only thing that's kept him alive all these years: hatred. Everything from the apartment bomb to the booby-trapped town was all a big show to confuse and weaken Wolverine. But Logan seems steady as ever when he reveals it was never mcLeigh's friend. He just felt sorry for the psycho. A taunt that mcLeigh falls for, and Logan kills Roddy, finishing what he started 10 years ago. Look at the gross way Logan kills him. He traps his face between his left and right claws, and then pops the middle one. This is the first time I've ever seen Wolverine afraid of someone. mcLeighh had 10 years to figure out how to kill the unkillable, and to be fair, he came closer than most. He had no superpowers, but he was certainly a threat. He had resources enough to scrounge up adamantium bullets and brains enough to set a trap for the X-Men's apex predator. My only problem with this character was I don't believe for a second that he's still the world's deadliest assassin. Maybe back in the day when the only supers were Captain America and Bucky. But nowadays, mate, Bullseye, Elektra, even the Puma, he's simply outmatched. But that's not to say he wasn't a master of his craft. Pretty good start. Who's up next? A whole pack of wannabe Wolverines are our next targets. Gunhawk, Shadow Stalker, Sawfist, Fire Knives, and Cannon. Foot, Christ, who named these? The Mongrels are a gang of killers with only one mission: make Wolverine suffer. And like any villain worth their salt, they start by targeting the people close to him. The Mongrels' first attack is upon Wolverine's then girlfriend, who I've never heard of, mcLeigh Garner. mcLeigh would be dead meat, but another woman from Logan's past pulls her fat from the fire: Mystique. This was just after the Dark Reign era of Marvel, but I never know what the hell Mystique is up to. Remember Freedom Force? What was the scheme there? The Mongrels' failure doesn't deter them as they simply move on to their next target, in the hive of scum and villainy that is the city of Madripoor. Oh, that's why they call him Cannon Foot. The Mongrels decimate Wolverine's favourite bar, and when they find a room full of Logan's personal treasures, they burn it to cinders. When Logan finds out about this, he's gonna be pissed. But where is Logan, I hear you ask? He's in hell. A sinister organisation known as the Red Right Hand has sent Wolverine's soul to blazes, while a bloodthirsty demon takes his body for a joyride. So for now, Logan's friends will have to fend for themselves. Eventually, Wolverine claws his way out of hell itself and sets his sights on revenge on the Red Right Hand. And when he finally tracks him down, he comes face to face with the Mongrels. They too have been working with the RRH in their plot to make Logan suffer. And although Logan doesn't understand who the hell these crazies are, he's ready to throw down with them. Wolverine even offers each of them a chance to surrender, but these lunatics would rather die. First to fall is Cannonfoot, my favourite member, who puts up a good fight until Logan dismembers him. Next up, the sadistic Shadow Stalker wants to fight. Oh sorry, did I say fight? Well, what she wants definitely starts with an F anyway. Randy Bitch wants it rough. And Logan is happy to oblige. 2 down already. The next challengers enter the ring: Fire Knives and Sawfist. But again, Logan offers them the chance to just leave, but the Mongrels' loyalty to their mission is undying, and it'll be more than his wrist that's sore when Wolverine's done. Villains like these two actually are cool for Wolverine, because they don't just fight, they sword fight, and that's badass. This lady's knives could burn like the sun, and they still wouldn't match Logan's adamantium. And the other guys basically stole the Gladiator's whirly wrist blades. Love the Gladiator. Wolverine makes them look like chumps. That makes 4, only 1 mongrel left to put down. Gunhawk. One final time, Logan offers surrender. He gives the only remaining mongrel an opportunity to live. But we all know how it goes down by now. Gunhawk, the Red Right Hand's final enforcer, goes down. And Wolverine believes he's won, but there's the twist of both the plot and the knife. The mongrels never wanted Logan dead. Remember, they wanted him to suffer. And when the truth is revealed, suffer he will. The Red Right Hand, the architects of Logan's suffering, have all already committed suicide, denying Logan any personal vengeance. But that's not what hurts them. Their final gift to Wolverine is documents on just who they were. The people making up the Red Right Hand were all tied to people Logan had slain in one life or another. Relatives and loved ones of Wolverine's many victims over the centuries, out to avenge those he'd taken from him. But that's not what hurts him. The Mongrels, the 5 assassins the RRH had used as weapons against Wolverine, were really Logan's bastard children. He had slain his own flesh and blood, and that is their final revenge. Logan's been alive centuries, so it does make sense he'd have some kids knocking about, and using them as villains is crafty. It plays well into the idea of Wolverine because he's famous for memory loss, isn't he? So he'd have no way of knowing. Wolverine seems to have really bad luck with offspring, doesn't he? His other son, Daken, was a villain as well, but he was more like Logan than these guys. Don't think any of these even had his healing factor. Cannonfoot looked more like Sabretooth, and one of them was a luchador. Obviously, these are the kind of villains you can only use once, but they've definitely been used effectively here. You can't kill Wolverine, so these did the next best thing, breaking him emotionally. That's a victory for the villains there. The final villain that we're sniffing out here is the man known as Ogun. Once a friend, now a foe. The Ogun is a Japanese sword master of such high regard that he was once the mentor to Wolverine himself. The X-Men's Shadow Cat has gotten herself into some trouble. We find her in Japan, trying to help her father who's ran afoul of the Yakuza. It's looking bleak, but when one of the Yakuza bosses, the Ogun, sees Kitty's phasing powers in action, he believes she'll be more useful alive if he can groom her into using her mutant abilities to become his assassin. Ogun's honed agility and skills make capturing Kitty child's play, but dirty muties always travel in packs. The Wolverine is on her trail. The sinister Ogun begins to mentally break Pryde down so that he may rebuild her as his own. All she knows is darkness as the Ogun sword hangs above her neck, and eventually, through all the fear, Shadow Cat falls to the darkness. Logan storms the Yakuza, demanding answers by threat at claw point. He knows they have Kitty, and he demands her safe return. But Ogun won't surrender his new pupil so quickly. Oh, he sends his student to Wolverine alright, with a mission to kill the clawed Canadian. A mission she somehow seems to accomplish when she shoves her sword through Wolverine's heart. But, of course, if you've been paying attention you'll know, Wolverine's actually got this healing factor, so he's fine, and Logan's buddy Yukio finishes the fight. With Kitty snapped out of her brainwashing and back on the side of good, Logan demands that she return to the X-Men while he finishes things here. It's time for some good old-fashioned revenge. Only Kitty doesn't listen to her teacher. She wants Ogun for herself, and using all the skills her mad master taught her, she gets a little ass kicked. But if his prized apprentice will not join him, the Ogun has no choice but to kill her. But not if the Wolverine has anything to say about it. The duel for Kitty Pryde's soul begins, and the Ogun seems to be too masterful for even Wolverine to handle. Wolverine is the best there is at what he does, but tonight, that doesn't seem good enough. The Ogun has Logan and Kitty in the sight of his samurai sword. Ogun offers Kitty one final chance to join him, but when she refuses, he accepts her choice and readies his blade. Logan summons what remains of his courage and does the same. Logan learns the hard way that no man can defeat the Ogun, so he becomes less than man. Wolverine becomes an animal, giving in to his baser instincts, unleashing his animal side. Wolverine goes berserk upon the samurai sorcerer, but he retains just enough humanity to know that this isn't his kill, it's Kitty's. He serves her the Ogun and allows her to take her revenge. All a test to make sure that the Kitty Pryde he knows is still in there. Kitty refuses to become what Ogun tried to make her into, but Ogun is not appreciative of her mercy. He strikes one final time, and quick-thinking Logan does the same. And through the phasing Kitty, metal meets flesh. The Ogun falls. Wolverine is victorious. The student has become the master. Oh boy, I sure hope I've been pronouncing Ogun right this entire time, because this dude was great. He was merciless yet honourable in many ways. He was just like Wolverine. He even tried to steal Logan's apprentice. Wolverine's always taken on these young students. Kitty and Jubilee are the most well known, I think. So even though Kitty was his first, I like the idea of a villain trying to tempt his protege to the dark side. It lets Logan show that underneath his gruff exterior, he does genuinely care, and that's nice, innit? Who's your favourite Wolverine villain? Not just out of these three, but in general. I did quite like the Ogun. He was badass, and samurai are just cool anyway, aren't they? But I like his parallels with Logan. The Mongrels could have been better fleshed out, but that probably would have ruined the reveal, so I'm fine with it. We did get Gunhawk mentioning that he's actually Canadian. Suppose that was kind of a hint. Notice how all these punks died at the end of their stories. Wolverine doesn't screw around. I saw a cool idea once online, and I don't know if it's comic canon or if it's just some guy's fan theory, but it said basically, when he's in the yellow suit and he's with the X-Men, he's Wolverine, the mutant hero, so he tries not to really kill or dismember too much. But when he's in his own clothes, he's Logan, the man. And if you mess with Logan, you're getting the claws, bub.